G'day guys, and today Shorty and I are going to do our review, which was between Geelong and Fremantle at Etihad Stadium, and it was the Cats getting home by 42 points in a big victory and a comprehensive win from the Cats. We had it from start to finish, mate, had control of the game after the first 10 or so minutes when not much was happening, and a very nice performance, round one start for the Cats, and very impressed with what we saw.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It was great, wasn't it? I mean, any time you travel over to the west, you never quite know what you're going to return with. And as you said, the first 10 minutes didn't really reach any great heights. But after that, once we sort of established that 2 to 3 goal buffer, we never really looked back, which was great. I think it's always key to silence the crowd when you travel interstate, and we did that effectively. And never let them back into the contest, which was great. The intensity was fantastic, which we had to bring, and we did. And I think also what I really enjoyed was pre-season we showed some great footy. Our best was really good, but then we followed up with a quarter of really poor footy. What I liked on Sunday was the fact that we really kept quite an even line of form through the whole game, and I think we didn't fluctuate as much as previous times. I mean, we probably didn't have any real flashy pieces of play, like any brilliant sort of 6-goal burst, so to speak, like we did against the Bombers. But we also didn't drop any significant lows, and I was much happy with that. We seemed to close that gap a little bit between our best footy and the worst, which has been pretty interestingly wide at times within games. So, yeah, that was really impressive. So I was pleased with that. And also, probably as pleased I was with the game and our performance, it should be noted that I thought Fremantle were pretty poor and a lot worse than a lot of people would have expected. So they gave us some pretty easy goals at times. And, they weren't fantastic at all. They were pretty poor, really, particularly with the ball in hand. But you've got to make the most of it. We really did look like a much better unit than they did, and you'll probably talk about it a bit more as well. It's that intensity and four-quarter effort, which has been lacking over 12 months. So there's no question on our best footy, but about maintaining that. And I thought we probably didn't reach our absolute best. You could probably argue we didn't need to at times, but we put in a performance where we knew we had the opposition quite easily and maintained that and never gave them a sniff. And on their home ground, that was crucial. So, yeah, really pleased with it. Great way to start the year. And, round one, it's only one game, it's only 4 points, but it is great to kick-start the season. So, yeah, really pleasing. But what did you think of the game, mate? I know, speaking of you before, you were quite pleased, and rightly so. What did you take away from it?
Yeah, I think we had a lot of question marks over the pre-season, over their last sort of 12, 18 months. And, I mean, it's only one game, and Fremantle were, unfortunately, they were terrible. It has to be said. Like, they were shocking with the footy. They turned it over so much, and we were very good capitalising on their stuff-ups. So a lot of their... And I reckon there's been times where we haven't actually capitalised on opposition stuff-ups. So it was pleasing to see we could convert, and 18 goals, 7. I mean, Fremantle just 2 scoring shots shy of us, but I think I generally think with the way the scoreboard generally leads towards the pressure. So if a team kicks like Freo does, generally means that the opposition's applying more pressure and your shots are long and wide or tougher. Whereas when we moved the ball inside 50, it was pretty smooth. It wasn't too much hassle, and when you have not too much pressure on you, you can generally deliver the final, the finish at the end of it. So, and that certainly showed with 18-7. But yeah, really pleased with how we went. Looking at the clearances, mate, I didn't even look at them until then. But we lost by 14. Obviously, having Stanley against Sandilands, which is quite shocking. But I think Fremantle maybe were just bad enough with the ball that it didn't matter, because our defensive zone was set up so that whatever they threw at us, we would always have numbers back to outnumber them, and they would always be in the right spots. That was a pleasing thing as well. The run and carry off half-back was a promising feature with Tui, a great inclusion. Even Ruggles at times was quite damaging. Felt like I got a bit of the footy. But we seemed to get through Fremantle with ease, and they had pressure at certain aspects and certain points of the game, but didn't always show. And they even had more inside 50s than we did, and yet we had 43 inside 50s and kicked 18 goals. So there's been a question marks in the past. How are Geelong going to convert their inside 50 entries? Well, that's nearly one goal every few entries if you look at it that way based on current conversions. And I guess the final point I'll sort of mention is I was super stoked with the... at the start of the game when it was hot, it wasn't Dangerfield and Selwood getting us in the game. It was the likes of Duncan, even Jordan Murdoch, who played a good game. I was shocked and surprised, and Mackie played well, and George Horne-Smith got involved, and just a lot of our lesser-like players was probably the most pleasing aspect out of the game, that they were getting involved and making the play despite a poorish Dockers performance. But they had a pretty full lineup, mate, and I'll delve into Shane Kirsten a little bit here. That's one of the worst games I've ever seen a player play. Like, he looked worse than a nervous first-time player on the field. How bad was he?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't like to finger point, but there you go.
Yeah, it's true. A couple of times I mentioned, and watching it last night, I was just like, that's why we got rid of him, and he was even worse than we've almost seen, almost like he was a bit nervous against the old side and to perform for the new side. So, he was shocking.
Absolutely awful. Well, so that's a sort of wrap-up of the game there, but we'll go into the votes, which are, I think we see it pretty similarly, but it was also really difficult to pinpoint, who the 3, 2, and 1 goes to, but that's a good sign that, it's not obvious to pick, because that means there's a lot of even contributors.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be interested to hear your votes, because obviously we watched a lot of games together. We didn't watch this one. Obviously I was in Ballarat near Geelong, so I'll be interested to see how you saw it. But look, I thought Dangerfield was best on ground. It wasn't a blitzing 35-touch game, but he just worked his way through it. And, I think he only had the 24, but 9 tackles, a stack of clearances, contested marks, kicked the 3 goals, and just brute force in the clearance and the stoppage. So it probably won't go down as one of his flashiest games of all time, but really great performance, and he was really impressive. Look, I liked Mitch Duncan for 2 votes. I thought he was very good, particularly early, like you mentioned. He was a player we sort of looked to produce, and I feel like he certainly did that and gave a bit of help to the old Dangerfield-Selwood combination. And I gave the 1 vote to Hawkins, and as you say, it was quite tough to pick votes and select players, because there were, particularly for those couple of single votes, it was quite difficult. But I thought Hawkins was a real presence in attack, not only in the air, but he looked reasonable in the ground. And I think he's leaned down a little bit. We saw him selling candy in the pre-season, and a nice little dribbling goal after picking up on the boundary, kicking with the left foot last night. So hopefully he has leaned down a little bit, which is allowing him to be slightly more agile. He's never been terrible, but did have those back problems, which stopped him from getting down the ball for a little while. But they were my 3 players, and there were quite a few others who just played their role. They weren't necessarily going to get votes, but they played a really good role and delivered what we would have liked. So that was pleasing.
Definitely. Alrighty. I saw it exactly the same. I was I was looking at a few. I was thinking maybe Selwood, maybe Mackie. I thought Mackie was really good. Like, he didn't get a stack of the ball, but what he did with it was quite pleasing. Menzel was another one I was looking at as well, and even Steve Motlop.
I like McCarthy's game as well, just for that sort of small forward role. I thought he was quite good.
Yeah, mate, I wish we had this problem more often. I don't know how Steve Motlop isn't in there, actually, now that I look at it, but, for the way Hawkins played, tough to argue. But I'll go my 3 to Dangerfield. He got the 24 touches, 9 tackles, 3 goals, as you said, mate. That 3rd goal probably tipped me over to get the 3 votes. It wasn't clear cut who was the best on ground for basically both teams, but particularly Geelong when narrowing it down. So Danger's working the contest. He just breaks away from the packs, and look, once again he didn't have a great game. He just sort of worked his way into it and sort of never really fired heavily, but that's probably, we'd rather say that than him getting 40 and him being the difference between, us winning and losing. So, Gordon Dangerfield there. 2 votes to Duncan, who stood up really well from the start and didn't get a heap of the footy in the second half, but when the game was hot, he really delivered. 30 touches, 9 marks, 6 tackles, and also kicked a goal. He's a lovely kicker goal, mate. He actually he turned it over last night. I thought, oh my God, that's not Duncan, surely, when he kicked it to centre half forward. But he hits many targets, so he's allowed to get one off every now and again. So, really clean with the footy and just the go-to guy at the beginning, which is what we like to see. And again, I don't know how Selwood or Lockie Henderson and even there's just so many names, which is good. Didn't get the vote, but I've gone Tommy Hawkins like yourself. Just loved his work. He got 13 disposals, 5 marks, 3 tackles, and 3 goals on the board. It wasn't more so what he got, but what he produced, and it sort of looked a bit quicker with him leaning down, as you sort of alluded to there. I really just liked his work. Looked very mobile, and with Taylor moving up forward, which I think we'll delve into probably a little bit after this, maybe in the chopping block area. Not that Taylor would play great, but his structural presence almost made Hawkins more dangerous potentially, which is obviously what we've been crying out for a long time. But I think, I'll leave that one for you to discuss maybe more on the chopping block. We can talk about it there. But, Hawkins really good. Took his opportunities and manhandled Dawson a few times and loved his work, and we looked pretty good up forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to have a few names to choose from, that is for sure.
Mate, there's not many bad ones, and that's what you're here to talk about, buddy. You'll love your chopping block section. So, talking pre-game, I mean, you didn't have, just beforehand, you didn't have too many names in mind, but maybe some more structural changes that could come into the side or change within the current side we've got, if you got any for us there.
Yeah, well, I mean, we will talk about Taylor, I suppose, off the top. I mean, I just felt that he was really poor. I mean, I agree with your comment that perhaps him as a structure sort of selection did help Hawkins, and I guess that's what he's about, and he does create a good contest, but him as an individual forward to kick goals, I just don't see it happening, to be honest. I feel like the coaching staff will persist with it a little bit because they've said they have, and it's only 1 week, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him go to the back line very shortly. He just looks slow, and he looks like he really lacks forward line craft, and we know that when Harry goes back, it looks like he has more time, and sometimes speed can also be associated with anticipation and reading the play. And I think that's really where he's a step behind at the moment. There were a few times last night where it looked like, off the boot of the deliverer, it was like, it's a good kick, but he was just a step behind, didn't quite get to it.
Yeah, it's frustrating,
Or, he's in the box position, should mark this, and just doesn't. So I don't think it's coming to him well. I mean, with a performance like that and the forward line functioning quite well as a unit, I doubt they'd change it. But look, Aaron Black is the obvious man. There's perhaps no reason that they can't trial all of them. That'll probably be risky and not a long-term thing, but they'll probably trial it throughout the season. Yeah. Black had, I think it was 15 touches in reserves, kicked a couple of goals, and from all reports, was fairly impressive and did his chances no harm. So he'll be knocking on the door, and I think we'll see him somewhat soon. So certainly monitor that position and just how it's going. Probably with a good performance like that, we probably wouldn't change it, considering it worked quite well, but I'd certainly monitor it. Zach Smith was the late withdrawal. I think they called him soreness. I'd say it was more so selection purpose. I mean, they opted for the mobile ruckman against Sandilands because you're not going to beat Sandilands in his own game, and that's pretty much all Smith was going to rely on. So you would think probably next week, Goldstein, they might look to bring him back to help out against, Stanley and Smith, attack on Goldstein. Furlow was a man who was left out, and I thought that was harsh, but then when you look at it, it probably comes down to Mackie and Furlow.
Yep.
And Mackie had a really good pre-season, was good last night, so I don't know how you squeeze him into. Again, it's a good problem, like the votes. Menegola likewise.
Yeah.
Down to Holland Smith versus Menegola. You know, I'm a big advocate for Holland Smith, and I really liked what he did last night, not even just statistically, but just his inside grunt and putting on body pressure with his other midfielders. He's a genuine inside mid, and I really like that. So, I mean, unless you had any real names, I mean, I didn't feel like anyone, particularly off a performance like that, you'd be saying drop them. I think there's a few areas to keep an eye on. I mean, Parfitt didn't have a stack of the ball, but I actually enjoyed his game, really. I thought he was quite lively. Cockatoo only had the 9, but he showed us what he can do in a couple of minutes and a couple of seconds.
Like that goal.
Yeah, brilliant, wasn't it? So I would imagine that Geelong would look to keep a pretty stable lineup and a settled team after that sort of performance. And, you know, naturally Smith being a late out might be one, and that just becomes down to a big versus a small sort of discussion. So, yeah, mate, unless you had any names that you really felt were worth raising, I couldn't imagine them making any more than one change.
Yeah, I've got some interesting general discussion points on it. Like, Zach Smith's a bit of a link in a chain of a lot of dominoes, if you like. Like with Harry up forward, you'd imagine Stanley or Smith will swap between the forward 50. Probably Stanley more so staying there than perhaps Smith would. But then if Smith is in and then that setup continues and Taylor goes back, then that almost leaves Tom Stewart's position sort of wanting, I suppose, which makes that pretty interesting, I reckon. Little domino there. Parfitt, yeah, he had a bit of the ball. I mean, obviously, I think he found it a bit tough first crack at it, but obviously, I didn't heavily analyse the way he played. Personally, I was looking at it as a team perspective, but yeah, did a couple of right things, but they won't drop him. You know, they'll give him some time, give him a few weeks. You can't just judge it off once. It's funny how Lonergan only got 9 touches, 4 marks, but he looked like he played well. So he kept them pretty honest. I hope they bring Black in. As I agree with you on Taylor being not a forward. There's just times where he just has really soft hands and he's not a strong guy in the forward 50. I don't know if he just always takes intercept marks in defensive 50, but he just doesn't look himself up forward. Really doesn't quite get hard and heavy in the contest. Really looks a bit soft, you know, in the actual contest inside 50. He tends to get spoiled easily and stuff like that. No disrespect to Harry. He's been very good over a long period of time, but probably doesn't quite suit his craft. Holland Smith over Menegola was interesting, but he only had 16 touches. However, I felt like he really had a good influence in the game. There was just a lot of good handballs he gave out to clear congestion. And, overall, you can't really put anyone on notice round one unless they were terrible, and no one was terrible. So they'll keep it pretty much the same, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. And, good opportunity to make it 2 from 2 against a North Melbourne team that, it certainly look like they're not going to be the quality side that we've become accustomed to of recent years. So troublesome times, but I couldn't imagine this current outfit's going to do so. What is it, next Sunday, I think? Yep,
next Sunday, mate, at 1:10. So we've got North Melbourne there at Etihad Stadium. So that's a home game for us, apparently, because that's where we resign until around 9 or 10, something like that. So, well, it looks like I'll be probably heading out to that one, matey. What's your setup like for that one?
I won't be there, mate. Thanks for breaking that tank, cheers.
Oh, well, I had to check on that one. So it's just Shorty's old man and sister and Tizio 100 joining him for that one. So, so we're up against North Melbourne, who were good against West Coast for about a quarter, and then the Eagles took control and got the job done pretty comfortable in the end. So, Jared Waite, he's out for, I think, about 6 weeks, going by the news and everything. That'll be quite a dent to their current forward line setup. He kicked one won 7, I think, on the weekend.
Yeah.
Is that right? It's just unbelievable. Like, that many chances and, yeah, unbelievable. Look, yeah, in recent times, North have been pretty decent against us. Yeah, we got the job done last time in a pretty, yeah, I think Dangerfield had a field day. Shane Kirsten actually had a field day as well. He got around the goals, and Tommy Hawkins didn't play. So a funny setup last time we played him, and good seats that Etihad, mate. I must say, I'm pretty excited to just chew someone's ear off or something on the boundary line there. Not Michael Ferrito again, but yeah, look, I can envision us winning. I mean, I'm not super confident, but I reckon, yeah, around the 4-goal mark. North Melbourne can trouble us at times. Obviously don't have the side they've had in previous years, and players like Wells and Harvey that have troubled us previously. So, yeah, look, I think we should be winning this one based off the form against Freo. Yeah, I'd like to think we'd get a good performance up against North, and we play pretty well at Etihad. So, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty confident, mate, to be honest. I mean, I know they've troubled us at times in the past, but yeah, I don't rate them too high at all this year, to be perfectly honest. I would imagine if we bring something like we did against Freo, which is a measuring stick at the moment, I'd imagine at least a 7-goal win. So I think we certainly should be producing something like that, and we really should be beating them up in the midfield. And we should, as long as Goldstein doesn't have a field day, like Sandilands did, I suppose, then I feel like we should really outmuscle them in the middle. And as you say, we do play Etihad well, as they do, but I certainly feel like we play some pretty good footy. So, yeah, no, I'm going pretty confident. I probably feel like our first 2 rounds have come against probably bottom 5 or 6 opponents. So I would imagine we'd want to come away with 2 reasonably comfortable wins. So 1 down, hopefully another to come.
Yeah. I mean, slightly sceptical on the old, I suppose bottom teams, if you like. Not always playing amazing footy, but yeah, can't argue after sort of last night's footy against the Dockers, pretty solid. But I'll wait till I see a body of work, as Gary Lyon likes to say. So we're going relatively confident, but I won't be ticking it off as a guarantee, and no guarantees in footy. So.
No, definitely not.
We'd have to be absolutely awful to lose. So, yeah, hopefully get the points, mate, and hopefully we get you to a home game soon.
Absolutely, mate. I'm sure we'll be able to at some stage, but if not, many more to come in the coming years.
Mate, I'll tell you what, that membership's just killing your back pocket and you can't get to it.
It's an investment in the club, mate, not a personal thing. So,
okay, nice.
I'd like to contribute to the club.
You're very
I'd also like to be in my bloody seat, let's be honest.
That's what you pay the big bucks for, mate. You pay for the premium seats. So, good stuff. Good stuff there, matey. Great review tonight. So, thanks for joining in tonight, guys. Don't forget to give the video a like and share any thoughts on the game you've got. And, subscribe for more reviews, tips, and random AFL videos I put on. So, get around that, and that'll be muchly appreciated. Thanks for joining in today, mate.
Thanks, mate. Nicely done.
Perfect. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you on the next video.